My mother-in-law seated my husband's mistress in my chair at her birthday dinner, and everyone expected me to smile. I remember the exact moment I realized something was very wrong. The chandelier above us was too bright, the kind of light that makes everything feel exposed, like there's nowhere to hide. Glasses clinked, people laughed, and then it all faded into this strange, hollow silence when I walked in. I was late, yes. Work had run over, like it always did. But I had still come, still showed up, still carried a gift I had spent weeks tracking down. I thought that mattered. "Victoria, look who finally decided to join us," Margaret said, her voice sweet but sharp enough to cut. She didn't stand. She didn't smile. And then I saw her, a young woman, early 20s, soft white dress, long hair falling over her shoulders like something out of a perfume ad. She was sitting right next to Margaret in the seat that was always mine. My seat. The one everyone knew was mine. She leaned in, gently placing food on Margaret's plate, whispering something that made my mother-in-law laugh. Laugh. Like they had known each other for years. I didn't look at her first. I looked at my husband, Daniel. He was sitting right beside her, and he didn't move, didn't stand up, didn't explain, didn't even meet my eyes at first. When he finally did, there was something there I had never seen before. Not guilt, not exactly. Something smaller, something weaker. Fear. That was when the room started to feel smaller, tighter. Like all the air had been pulled out and replaced with something bitter, something heavy. I held the gift box a little tighter in my hand, feeling the edges press into my palm. I had come here thinking I was late to a celebration, but standing there, watching that girl smile in my place, I realized I had just walked into something that had been planned long before I arrived. Margaret dabbed the corner of her lips with a napkin, slow and deliberate, then looked up at Victoria like she was inspecting something she didn't quite approve of. "We didn't want a whole dinner for you," she said, her tone light, almost playful. People were getting hungry. A few quiet laughs spread across the table, not loud, just enough. Victoria didn't react right away. She stood there, still holding the gift box, her shoulders straight, her face calm. Too calm. "That's my seat," she said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the room like glass. The young woman froze. Her fork slipped slightly against the plate with a soft scrape. She blinked fast, eyes already glistening. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she said quickly, turning toward Daniel. "I didn't know. Your mom told me to sit here. I thought it was okay." Her voice trembled just enough, practiced but convincing. Daniel shifted in his chair, his fingers tightening around his glass. "Victoria, it's not a big deal," he said, forcing a small smile. "We can just sit somewhere else?" Victoria finished for him. Silence. Margaret leaned back, crossing her arms. "Honestly, Victoria, you make everything so difficult," she said. "Lily has been helping me all day. She took time off work. She has manners. She knows how to be present." Another pause. Then Margaret's eyes flicked to the box in Victoria's hand. "Meanwhile, you walk in late in one of your business suits like you're here to close a deal." A few heads nodded. Someone whispered something. The sound of it crawled under the skin. Victoria's gaze moved slowly across the table. Faces she had paid for, meals she had covered, lives she had quietly supported. Then she looked at Daniel again. He still hadn't stood up. That was when something inside her shifted. Not cracked, not broken, just settled. And across the table, Lily lowered her eyes, but just for a second. Because when she looked back up, there was the faintest hint of a smile. Victoria let the silence stretch. Not awkward, not weak, controlled. She shifted the gift box slightly in her hands, as if weighing it. The polished wood caught the light, reflecting a soft glow onto her fingers. For a moment, she looked down at it, not at them. Not at Daniel, not at Margaret, not at the girl sitting where she used to belong. "I see," she said quietly. Margaret nodded once, satisfied, already reaching for her wine glass. "Good. Then let's not make a scene." But Victoria didn't move toward the corner table. She didn't argue. She didn't raise her voice. Instead, she stepped forward. 1 step, 2. The sound of her heels against the floor echoed just enough to make a few people look up again. She stopped beside the table, close enough now to see everything clearly. The fine lines around Margaret's mouth, the way Daniel's jaw tightened, the slight lift of Lily's chin, like she was bracing or waiting. Victoria lifted the box, held it out. Margaret's eyes lit up immediately, that familiar flicker of greed quickly hidden behind a polite smile. "Well, at least you remembered your manners," she said, reaching out. For a split second, their fingers were inches apart. Then Victoria let go. The box dropped. A dull, hollow thud as it hit the lid of a metal trash bin beside the table. The sound was louder than it should have been. Everything stopped. Margaret's hand froze mid-air. Her smile cracked. Daniel went completely still. Lily's eyes widened just for a moment. "I guess my hand slipped," Victoria said. Her voice was calm, flat, almost gentle. She glanced at Lily just briefly. "But it's fine. If she's better at taking care of people, I'm sure she'll handle the gifts too." No one laughed this time. No one spoke. Victoria turned. Didn't wait. Didn't look back. And behind her, as she walked toward the door, the silence finally broke. Not with words, but with the sharp crash of something shattering. The cold night air hit her face the second she stepped outside, sharp and clean, like it was trying to wake her up. Victoria didn't slow down. The valet rushed forward, recognizing her instantly, already pulling her car around. "Ma'am," he said, opening the door. She nodded once and slid into the driver's seat. The door shut with a solid thud, sealing her off from the noise behind her, but not from the vibration. Her phone. It buzzed against the leather seat beside her. Once, twice, again. She didn't look at it right away. Her hands rested on the steering wheel, still, controlled, but her knuckles were pale. Then she glanced down. Daniel, calling. She let it ring. It stopped, started again. She let that one ring, too. By the time the engine turned over with a low growl, the screen had already lit up more times than she could count, his name flashing over and over like it meant something. It didn't. She pulled out into traffic, the city lights blurring past her windows. Red, white, gold, everything moving, everything alive, except the part inside her that had just gone quiet. Because the truth was, she wasn't surprised. Not really. As the car moved through the streets, her mind slipped backward. Not to tonight, but to something smaller, quieter, easier to ignore at the time. Daniel standing on the balcony, cigarette in hand, not looking at her when she told him about her promotion. The way he smiled, tight, brief, gone too fast. "Congrats," he had said. Then silence. Another memory. Margaret in the kitchen, voice low but sharp. "A man needs to feel like a man, Daniel. You let her outshine you like that, it's not healthy." And Daniel, not arguing, just listening. The phone buzzed again. Victoria reached over, not to answer. She turned it face down. The screen went dark. And in that moment, somewhere between the noise of the city and the quiet inside her chest, she finally stopped asking herself if she had missed something. Because she hadn't. She had seen it. She had just chosen to believe it would change. She didn't go home, not that night. Instead, Victoria turned into the underground garage of a hotel she had kept under her name for years. A quiet place, private, the kind of place you prepare just in case. The engine went silent. For a second, everything did. Then her phone started again. Buzz, buzz, buzz. She picked it up this time. Not to answer, just to look. Dozens of missed calls. Daniel. His name didn't even feel familiar anymore. The screen lit up again. Incoming call. She pressed accept. Said nothing. "Victoria, where are you?" His voice came through fast, tight. Not worried, not really. Just agitated. "What the hell was that back there? You embarrassed my mom in front of everyone." She leaned back in the seat, closed her eyes for a second. "You need to come back," he continued. "Lily is crying. She thinks she did something wrong. Mom's blood pressure is up. Do you have any idea how this looks?" There it was. Not a single question about her. Not where she was. Not if she was okay. Just damage control. Victoria opened her eyes, calm again. "Daniel," she said quietly. "What?" he snapped. "I don't need to come back." A pause. Short, sharp. "What do you mean you don't need to?" "I mean," she said, cutting him off, "I don't need you. I don't need your mother. And I definitely don't need to sit at a table where I'm being replaced." Silence on the other end. For the first time, real silence. "Don't be dramatic," he said finally, but his voice had shifted. Lower now, less certain. It was just a seat. Victoria looked at her reflection in the dark windshield. "No," she said, "it wasn't." Another pause. Longer this time. Then she added, each word clear, steady, final. "I'm filing for divorce." The air on the other end seemed to drop out. "Victoria, don't be ridiculous," Daniel said quickly. "People fight. That's normal. You're overreacting." She almost smiled, not because it was funny, because it was predictable. "You'll understand soon enough," she said. And before he could say another word, she ended the call, blocked the number. And just like that, for the first time in a very long time, the noise stopped. The next morning, Victoria walked into her office like nothing had happened. The lobby was already busy, phones ringing, heels clicking across marble floors, the quiet hum of people chasing deadlines and deals. "Good morning, Miss Hayes," the receptionist said, standing a little straighter. Victoria gave a small nod and kept moving. Her reflection followed her across the glass walls. White suit, hair pulled back. No signs of last night, no cracks. Inside the elevator, she stood alone, still, composed. Only her eyes had changed. When the doors opened, her assistant was already waiting. Emily held a folder close to her chest. "I have everything you asked for," she said, voice low, careful. Victoria took it without stopping. "Legal?" "Ready," Emily said. "Divorce papers drafted, financial records organized, and the transfers." Victoria paused for half a second. "The transfers?" she repeated. Emily nodded. Daniel used joint accounts to cover expenses tied to Lily. Rent, gifts, travel. It adds up. Of course it did. Victoria stepped into her office. The city stretched out behind the glass. Cold, endless, controlled. She placed the folder on her desk, opened it. Pages flipped. Clean, precise, numbers lined up like soldiers. Every transaction, every receipt, every lie turned into something measurable, something provable. Emily stood quietly across from her, watching, waiting. "Anything else?" Victoria asked. Emily hesitated. Then, "There's something you should see." She pulled out a tablet, tapped once. A video, security footage, a car interior. Daniel in the driver's seat. Lily beside him, laughing, leaning in close. "Just be patient," Daniel's voice came through, low, careless. "Once I move a few more assets over, we're done. Then we can travel, use her money, live how we want." Victoria didn't react, not outwardly, but her fingers stilled on the page. For a moment, just a moment, something flickered. Then it was gone. She closed the folder. "Good," she said. Emily blinked. "Good?" Victoria looked up, calm, sharp. Now we stop being polite. Outside, the city kept moving. Inside, something had shifted. Not anger, not pain, something colder, something final. By noon, the calls started. Not from Daniel, from people who mattered. "Victoria, we're hearing some noise," one of the senior partners said over speaker, his tone cautious. "Your family situation, it's starting to circulate." Victoria stood by the window looking down at the traffic below. Small cars, small lives, everything in motion. "Let it circulate," she said. A pause. "That's your position." "It is." Another silence. Then a quiet exhale. "All right, just keep it contained." She ended the call. Behind her, Emily shifted slightly. "They're going to try something," she said. Victoria didn't turn around. "They already have." Right on cue, the intercom buzzed. "Miss Hayes," the receptionist's voice came through, tight with stress. "There are 3 people in the lobby demanding to see you. They're saying they're your family." Victoria closed her eyes for a second. Of course they were. "What are they doing?" she asked. "They're making a scene," the receptionist said. "The older woman is shouting, 'People are filming.'" Victoria opened her eyes. Cold again. Security. They can't remove them without escalation. A beat. Victoria turned slowly from the window. "Don't remove them." Emily looked up. "You want them to stay?" "Yes." Her voice didn't rise, didn't waver. "Let them talk." She walked toward her desk, picked up her phone, then paused. "Get the footage ready." Emily didn't need to ask which footage. Her fingers were already moving. Downstairs, the noise was growing. Margaret's voice cut through the lobby like a siren, loud, sharp, desperate. Everyone look at her. She was shouting. The perfect businesswoman, cold, heartless. She's throwing her own husband out, ruining her family. People had stopped walking. Phones were out. Eyes watching, waiting. Victoria stepped into the elevator. The doors slid closed. For a moment, it was quiet again. She looked at her reflection. Calm, untouched. Then the elevator chimed, doors opening, noise flooding in. And as she stepped out into the chaos, heels steady against marble, she didn't look like someone walking into a scandal. She looked like someone about to end one. Margaret was on the floor. Actually, on the floor. Her red dress spread around her like a warning sign, one hand pressed to her chest, the other gripping a small megaphone as she cried out to anyone who would listen. "This is what she does!" she shouted. "She destroys families, my own daughter-in-law, heartless, ungrateful." People had gathered in a loose circle, some whispering, some recording, some just watching the show. Daniel stood a few feet behind her, face pale, trying to look concerned, trying to look like the victim. Lily hovered close to Margaret, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue, shoulders shaking just enough to sell the part. "Mrs. Hayes, please calm down," a security guard said, keeping his voice steady. "Don't tell me to calm down," Margaret snapped, pointing wildly toward the elevator. "She's trying to throw us out on the street, after everything we did for her." That was when the doors opened. The sound alone cut through the noise. Victoria stepped out. No rush, no hesitation, just one step forward, then another. The crowd shifted without thinking, creating space for her. The whispering grew louder, then softer, then quiet again. Margaret saw her first. "You!" she hissed, struggling to sit up straighter. "You finally show your face!" Victoria didn't answer. She looked at Daniel, really looked at him. His shoulders tightened. His eyes dropped for half a second, then lifted again, trying to hold steady. "Victoria," he said, stepping forward, lowering his voice as if this was private. "You don't have to do this. Let's just talk. You're making things worse." She tilted her head slightly. "Worse for who?" He didn't answer. Lily stepped in quickly. "She's under a lot of stress," she said to the crowd, voice soft, almost kind. "She didn't mean what happened last night. She just lost control." Victoria's gaze shifted to her. Still calm. still quiet. "Did I?" she asked. Lily faltered. "Just a second. Enough." Victoria turned slightly toward Emily, who was already standing by her side, tablet in hand. "Let's give them what they want," Victoria said. Her voice carried, clear, controlled, a full story. Emily tapped the screen. Above them, the large display in the lobby flickered to life. And in that moment, before a single frame appeared, the room held its breath. The screen lit up. At first, it was just a still image, a quiet frame from a private dining room. Then it moved. Margaret's voice filled the lobby, softer now, but unmistakable. "Sit here, honey," she said on the recording, pulling Lily into the seat. "This is where family belongs." A ripple went through the crowd. Daniel stood off to the side in the video, shifting, saying nothing, watching. Then the next clip, a car interior, dim light, close quarters. Lily leaned in, smiling, her voice low and sweet. "You deserve better than her," she said. "She doesn't even know how to be a woman." Daniel laughed, not nervous, not uncertain, comfortable. "Just wait," he said. "Once I move a few more assets, I'm done. Then we can use her money and disappear." The words hung in the air, heavy, real. A sharp intake of breath from somewhere in the crowd, then another. Then voices, low at first, then louder. "Is that him? No way, that's her husband." Phones lifted higher, angles adjusted, faces turned. Margaret's expression cracked completely. "That's fake," she shouted, scrambling to her feet. "That's edited. She works in finance. She can make anything look real." Victoria didn't move. Emily stepped forward, placing a stack of printed documents on a nearby table. Bank statements, transfers, dates, amounts, joint account withdrawals. Emily said clearly, "Unauthorized, used for personal expenses tied to a third party." A man in the crowd picked one up. His eyes widened. "This is real," he said under his breath. Daniel swayed slightly where he stood, his face drained of color. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Lily took a step back, then another. The softness was gone from her face now, replaced by calculation, by distance. Victoria walked forward, slow, steady. Her heels echoed against the marble, each step landing like a final mark. She stopped in front of Daniel, looked at him. Not angry, not hurt, just done. "I gave you everything," she said quietly. He swallowed hard. "Victoria, She raised a hand. He stopped. "And you chose this." Silence. Then she turned, walked away, leaving the truth behind her, and for the first time, no one tried to stop her. The lobby didn't calm down after she left. It collapsed. Voices rose behind her, angry now, sharp, no longer confused. Phones kept recording, but the tone had changed. People were no longer watching a victim. They were watching the truth. Daniel tried to speak, failed. His hands moved, empty, searching for something to hold on to. Margaret's voice cracked into something raw, something desperate, but no one listened anymore. Even Lily had stepped away, her eyes already scanning for an exit, calculating her next move. Victoria didn't turn back. The elevator doors closed in front of her, cutting off the noise like a blade. Inside, it was quiet again. She stood there, breathing steady. Not fast, not heavy, just even. Emily glanced at her. Careful. "Are you okay?" Victoria thought about it, not the question. The answer. Then she gave a small nod. "I am now." The doors opened onto her private floor. The city stretched out again, endless and bright. Nothing had changed out there. Everything had changed inside. She walked to her desk, picked up the folder one last time. The divorce papers sat on top, clean, final, waiting. Without hesitation, she signed. The pen moved smoothly. No shake, no pause. Just a line across a life that no longer belonged to her. Emily exhaled softly, almost like she'd been holding her breath all morning. "It's done," she said. Victoria placed the pen down. "No," she replied quietly. "It's just beginning." She moved to the window, looking out at the skyline. The reflection staring back at her wasn't the woman who walked into that party the night before. This one stood straighter, colder, stronger. Because sometimes the hardest truth to accept is this: respect is not something you beg for. It's something you walk away to protect. And when you finally do, everything else follows. If this story made you feel something, take a second to like, subscribe, and drop 3 English words in the comments to tell me what stayed with you.